Right, we are live. Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on another week of Tales from the Tavern. So exciting to be here. I have a great group of guests. I just noticed that cameras are all screwed up again because I had a computer crash literally within moments of going live. So now I have to fix those again because yay, OBS.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's cool.
Everything's fine.
It's just a gremlin. We just got the gremlins tonight. It's fine.
It's so
It's part of
true.
the fun of doing these shows.
It's so true.
They're crazy.
Oh my goodness. Well, while I fix everybody's cameras, and I keep moving around this stupid display, we are going to have everybody go around and do a quick introduction. Tell us a little about who you are and where you're from and all that good stuff. So, BriannaJean, we're going to start with you.
Hi, I'm Brianna. I'm from north of Dallas in one of the many cities that are still currently exploding there. I am the founder of Pseudonym Social. I do a podcast where I get to interview people's characters in character for an hour called Tales of Adventure. I've got an actual play filled with lots of space pirate shenanigans and lots of very, very suspicious things going on called Aboard the Opal Star. And I have a new one that's a fantasy game that I'm in that's coming out in January called Disciples of the Eight. Because I'm addicted to stories, I'm very creative, and I have questionable sanity.
That's all very fair.
I just want to produce podcasts for a living. This is all I want to do. Tell cool stories with cool people.
Yes.
And then lurk on people's streams. That's fun too.
That is good fun. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your podcast editing schedule to come and hang out with us. And next we're going to move on to...
yeah, I love doing this.
Yeah, I know. This is your second time on now, so... Very fun. Kylan, we're going to head over to you.
Hello, everybody. My name's Kylan Wiggin. I am located in the northeast of the U.S. I am one-third of the team at Tumbledye Games, a young company... Sorry, that podcast intro. I am part of a small gaming company. We are working on a narrative game called Trove that is currently in development. And we also produce a weekly podcast called Threat Dice, where we talk about everything related to how to do better heights in your storytelling for tabletop RPGs. And we have a great time with it. It's been awesome, and so we're going to keep doing it.
Excellent. I've had the pleasure of getting to be on the Threat Dice podcast, and it's a lot of fun. So definitely give that a listen if you haven't checked it out already. Seth, we're going to head to you.
All right. Hello. My name is Seth. I'm hailing from Canada. That's the only one you get out of me. And I'm specifically from the Toronto area. But yeah, I am the dungeon master for an actual play podcast called Cheaper by the Dungeon. We've been going for 2 years now, and it's all about treasure hunters, and we also do the occasional full-produced musical episode. So those are always fun.
I need in on this. Oh my gosh.
Sounds amazing.
Check them out if you like it.
Please.
And also occasionally do charity streams. Like next week we got a bowling one going up, so stay tuned for that on our Twitter.
Oh, super fun.
Yeah.
So I have one of your players' character interviews coming out soon.
I know. Norman D. I apologize.
Yes.
He's great.
Wow.
Adam, I'm sorry.
All right. We're going to head over to John from Tale of the Mantacore.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. It's so this is my first time on the show, and I'm from Toronto also. Hey, Toronto.
All the Canardians we have on here this week.
I know, Seth. We're gonna have to go for a pint or something, or
yeah, I know.
Watch a hacky game when this whole pandemic is over. Let's see. I'm also a podcaster, and I do a like a classic OSR, dark fantasy, grimdark, solo, semi-actual play. It's a bit of an odd duck, to be honest. It's a mashup, kind of half narration and half actual like die rolling gaming. So it's difficult to explain, but if you, I don't know, check it out, and you'll know pretty quickly whether it's something that you enjoy or not.
It is super cool.
I've
Thank you.
heard
Thank you so
amazing
much.
things about your
Brilliant.
podcast, so
Thank you
it's
so much.
it's on my list of ones to check out once I am caught up on other ones.
Thanks for saying. Yeah, please check it out.
The mood.
Yeah,
It's
And
brilliant.
it is.
love it.
Yeah, and last but definitely not least, you know him, you love him, you know him as Oscar on Wednesday nights. It's Yotts.
Hello, how's everyone tonight? Yeah, like Luna said, I'm Scott Yotts, Yotts Twitch. Plenty other names that we won't say here. Yeah, you guys know me. Well, you may know me from Shared Experience if you check out our channel, the one that you're on right now. Wednesday nights at Luna. What time is it? 8 p.m. Eastern?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
The difficulty remembering that is, of course, because I am in the Atlantic time zone, up in the Great White North as well as everyone else here, except the Texan and the two Northeastern Americans.
Yep.
Well, to
Am I
be
getting
fair,
that right?
Luna and I are
the
also
bane of my existence.
Canadian adjacent.
We
so-
are. We
You
are
are
Canadian
Canadian
adjacent.
adjacent.
So.
You guys are all great in my books. It doesn't really matter. Where
Ah, here's your citizenship. Take it. You're
Sorry.
welcome out.
Come on.
I'm telling Chickenly Nerd has dubbed me an honorary Canardian, so it's okay.
I'll have to check your license after.
Okay.
I
I'll have
don't
to
really
go
have
get
anything to promote because you guys already know about the podcast and Tales and 50 Shades of Crimson, our hilariously named actual play. But I am, if you check out my Twitch, I haven't streamed in a while, but I am planning a return here. And I'm going to dive into some old DOS games.
Ooh,
Some
Nice.
fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'll be playing them live on Twitch and then doing breakdowns and reviews of them. Very, I don't know, AVGN style, I suppose. Not quite as silly as him, but on YouTube. So there'll be a little bit of a crossover. But that's my next production I'm planning. If anyone wants to help me out with that, feel free to hit me up. I'd love to have partners on it.
Awesome.
But that's it.
So I definitely heard that as breakdancing reviews.
Me
so I
too.
was really confused there
Yep.
for a second. That sounds
That is not at all. But
Good
you know
spin
what?
on that one. Good spin.
Who cares? Let's do it. Breakdancing reviews. You heard it here first, folks.
I am definitely going to tune in for that because who can pass up a good breakdancing review?
Keep them short.
I love it.
Did I just accidentally make a thing? Because
I think
I'm all
so.
for that if
You
I
may
accidentally
have,
just
yeah.
made a thing.
Fabulous.
I think you did. Well, we're
Yes.
going to we're gonna launch off. Just a reminder for chat for those of you who are joining us for the first time, or those of you who need the reminder. We take all of our questions from chat. That's where all of our conversation topics come from. So please feel free to drop your questions in chat, and moderator will make sure that we get to them. And so we're looking forward to seeing what you guys want to know. But my first question, given the fact that here in the US we just celebrated our Thanksgiving, I would like to know, what are you all thankful for in TTRPGs?
Well, I'll start. I'd like you to refer to the Plot Hooks episode that went live Saturday,
That's fair.
where we answered that question. No, I had some time to think about this, and what I came up with specifically for that segment in Plot Hooks. Great show, by the way. Check it out. Just plug them right quick.
Yeah.
It's mainly
They are great.
just like the friendships that I made along the way. You know what I mean? Like I really wish I got into this at a younger age. I'm new to TTRPG, been involved for Luna, help me out here, year and a half.
Year and a half, yeah.
And I was really super nervous about getting into it, and I didn't know what to expect. And it turns out it's super friggin' cool. Who would have thought?
Yep.
Who knew?
And man, there's so many cool people And it's just nice to meet other people with shared interests that you can just kind of nerd out guilt free and not feel like you're annoying your brother and sister or whatever when you're sitting down and like shooting the shit with them. It's just really great to find neat communities. Like you guys all have your own communities, and then we all kind of cross over, and we just so many cool people. That's the biggest thing for me.
I'll pick it up from there because I'm in a kind of a similar situation. I'm not new to TTRPGs, but I'm new again. I took a long hiatus away from gaming, maybe a couple decades. And so I'm just grateful to be back and have this amazing thing, back in my life, and like to discover that there's a whole community of like amazing people. That's just a bonus. But I'm so glad that I kind of came back to the table, even if it is largely a virtual table. But it's especially now more than ever in like the pandemic world, it's meant so much to me. Like it's really given me something to do and to think about and to look forward to every day.
I'll throw my hat in the thankful ring. I'm super thankful for the community, and like even just getting to meet all of you on the stream here. Having that community, as Yotts said, is super cool and super inclusive and super welcoming, and the ability to just reach out and have people offer to like help you with your stuff and you help with theirs. It's super collaborative, and I just really appreciate that about the community. And I'm also super appreciative of kind of the grunts on the ground force who are like putting out the resources for us to use in our games and things like that. The homebrewers, the official guides, stuff like that. Those people that are actually making these things so we can elevate our own worlds and imaginary stories to new heights and make this just the raddest storytelling vessel I've ever seen. Kudos to all those people. I'm so thankful that, the community seems to be thriving and more resources and homebrewed stuff is being made every day. So super thankful for the growth.
For me, it's all about the stories, both like I love character backstories, but also seeing the way people weave stories together. And like I just started DMing back in like May. My first time ever was for the first session / first episode of my actual play, because I just dove in both feet first. But just the stories you tell together and like watching them evolve and watching people's relationships evolve both inside and outside of the game, and just sounds like it can help you figure things out about yourself you might not otherwise. And I'm obsessed with all these things, storytelling, and I could go on for a really long time about it, but I will be nice and not just hog all of the stage.
I guess for me, it's been, my friends and I have been working on stuff for a couple of years. We started out, we were going to do 5e supplements. And then we kept going and realized that what we really wanted to do was to put our heads together and make a game. And so we started doing that this year. And in that process, I have spent so much time realizing just how large and broad not only the community is, but the number of games out there that are different and weird and experimental. And it's this magical alchemy that is happening in this community right now, because you got this core group of people coming into the hobby through Wizards of the Coast and D&D, right? And then some of those people are branching out and doing all these super cool, weird things and studying those to figure out how exactly we wanted to do this has been just made this an incredible year. COVID, but I've learned a lot this year, so it's not a total waste.
It's like the community reminds you that no matter how isolated you feel, you aren't alone.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Whether it's just you're playing by yourself, because like there are sometimes where I feel invisible, but just being a part of this community has helped me realize I'm not. I might be tiny, but I'm not invisible.
Yeah. Well, like Yotts said too, I going back to the Thanksgiving thing, refer to the Plot Hooks episode that dropped yesterday if you want to hear mine. But it was pretty much along the same lines of just, a lot of the friendships that I've made along the way. And, I've been playing TTRPGs for close to 13 years now. So I was still a late comer. I was already in my early 20s when I started playing. But it was pretty amazing because it allowed me to, I met actually my best friend through a Facebook group fan page, like for a video game that we both enjoy. And then from there it was hey, do you play D&D? Well, would you like to learn? Why don't you come over to my house? We play every whatever day of the week it was. And then from there, like, she and I just became really good friends. She became a regular member of our gaming group. Through that, she came to our Christmas party where she met her now husband. And they've been married for, I don't know how long, 7 years, and they've got a 5-year-old son. And so it's like, just seeing the connections that can come from stuff like that is so cool. And then getting into streaming, roughly about the same time Yotts started playing TTRPGs, I've gotten to meet a lot of really amazing, incredible people, and through doing a show like this, even more so. So I just am so grateful for that, But I am going to start. We've got a few questions that have started coming in from chat, so I am going to start grabbing those to throw at you guys. So the first one comes from Nick over at Know Your Role. He says, question for the panel. If your primary or favorite TTRPG character were able to suddenly retire with enough gold to never have to worry about finances again, what would they do?
I'm a game master. That's a tough question. Because my characters are all the characters. I might need a minute.
I'm unsure of whether to answer as Mihai or Oscar. Luna, you choose.
Oh gosh. I'd want to know what Mihai would do if he retired.
Okay, great. So Mihai was a strange little fellow who used to play in a campaign with Luna. He was obsessed with hats for no particular reason. He definitely wasn't a gnome. All those rumors are incorrect. So now that show's over, it'll probably never come back. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I'll let you in on. He was a human with dwarfism who thought he was a gnome with giantism. And that kind of explains his obsession with silly hats. So I think he would be traveling around.
I love him.
Trying to find his homeland once again after being exiled for being a sorcerer, I suppose, Anyway, he'd be traveling around being a bum as he was before the party found him. Honestly, he was kind of a shithead. But he'd just be stealing and selling hats, I assume. I don't know. If he had enough gold to retire, he wouldn't have a lavish life. He'd just be kicking it and roaming. With his donkey.
I feel like... for me, the character I've played the longest, a tiefling sorceress named Hero, and her big thing she was doing and how the party met her is, it's in a world where it's illegal to sell health potions, so she has a smuggling network of health potions. If she was able to retire, she would set up a potion shop and use all the funds for that, fund her smuggling network of health potions, because that law is dumb. And she would probably still get into all kinds of trouble.
I feel like I also have the same issue with being the DM, but I'm just gonna choose an NPC that I think would be funny with it. So it's one, and no, he just goes by the Raisin Stand Boy, and he's just a little boy. He sells raisins, and he sounds like, ooh, I want to sell raisins. He sounds like that. And he would get I'm sorry for your headphones.
That's fabulous.
I don't know if that peaked, but I'm gonna hope.
Come on, Morty.
It didn't. No, it was good.
Actually.
Yeah, and he would probably, the money would appear on his raisin stand. He'd just be like, oh yeah, and he would just grab the money. He would spend it on everything. He would be decked out. Like, I know you said to retire. He's not retiring. He's like 13. So he's gonna spend it all, lose all his money, and inevitably get back to his raisin stand after a long journey and just be like, oh,
he's my
damn
spirit
it!
animal.
Yeah, mine too. Honestly, this
That's
is a
adorable.
character voice I'm doing right now. That's my real voice. So, yeah, it's hard being me, but that's what I do.
Oh, nobody wants to follow that, so I'll do it. I'll sacrifice myself. Let's see. I have a problem in that the hardest part of this question for me is like, which character is my favorite? I don't have a favorite. I like them all, but because I'm the DM and the players in mine, it's messed up.
And you can't afford to have a favorite, so
I can't. If I had to pick,
I mean, it doesn't do you a lot of good with how you do your too to have a favorite, because
I better not, because that'd be patently unfair to the other players. There is only me. I'm gonna pick the character Eridine, because I think I know what she would do if she had a lot of money, because she's a thief and she spent most of her life as part of a band of highway robbers and stuff. Anyway, she would A, seek revenge on a man who tried to kill her recently, and B, look for a long lost love. But there's nothing funny about it for her. This is all like just love and blood.
for sure.
And I could try it in a Gilbert Godfrey voice, but I don't think it would make it any better.
Make everything better.
It might make it better.
So I do have a couple. I always think of myself as DM, but I do actually have a couple of active characters. One of them just joined their game after my previous character met his end for the third time. I decided not to bring him back for round 4. We only had reincarnate available, so he spent some time being some different people. So my new character has such a purpose that I don't think retiring is really an option. Going away and retiring when you believe that you're the one person who can actually save the world from the evil dragon god, probably not really a retiring kind of option. The other one, I'm pretty sure, would settle down in the little western village that he was recently in and sell dilithium crystals to the populace at a massively inflated markup while not declaring himself their local lord, but definitely thinking of himself that way.
A true farmer, bro.
Yeah.
Love it.
the other character, Scarlet, would probably retire somewhere quiet. Once she figures out where the heck her family disappeared to, I promise there's no relation to Scarlet from Paradise. No relation at all. I created the Scarlet like 3 or 4 years ago before I knew about it. But yeah, she would try and find her family and then retire someplace nice and quiet where she could easily slip into the Feywild to go visit pester her cousin. Help her get into all kinds of trouble over there. Also making sure her other cousins don't get themselves killed over leading their thieves guild.
So just make sure nobody said they're buying raisins from the kid, right? I gotta let them know. So nobody's spending any money on that kid, right?
No, not today.
All right. I'll let it. Yeah, it's normal. It's Sunday. It's a low raisin.
Okay, let's be real. Kira would probably adopt him. I'm not gonna lie, because she was adopted herself, so she would probably like.
Good idea.
She would adopt him.
Aw.
He could just sell raisins in her potion shop.
Oh gosh. All right, let's see. Nekala the Druid would like to know, what weird or unique dish would your character or NPC bring to the Thanksgiving table?
I think I can go first on this one, because weirdly, this exact situation is happening I have a release in a couple of days and I have another one in a couple of weeks. So in a couple of weeks, this exact situation will come up. It's not exactly it is a Thanksgiving dinner. It is a Thanksgiving dinner. There's a Thanksgiving dinner in a dwarven fortress, and you kind of get to see what do the dwarves eat. And one of the dishes, they think it's kind of a gelatinous mushroom at first until they see a line of little feet along the bottom, and then they can see 8 little stubby marks in a sort of a concentric pattern around the front of this thing, where tentacles have been amputated. And so if you do know your classic D&D, you know what this thing is. It's a baby classic D&D monster.
Is it a flump?
It's not a flump, but
Okay.
it's one of those TPK machines. It's one of those paralyzed everybody in the first round.
I mean, that's one way
I'll
to
leave it out
stick it
there.
to the
Maybe-
creature that tried to kill you.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the viewers knows what this is. It's
Like a
it's got an
beholder
alliterative name.
types?
It's got an alliterative name. There's a clue.
An alliterative name.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
I have a feeling one of my DMs is about to make me have to fight some version of this, so
Run
Interesting.
Run
You know
away.
when we
It's a
get
to-
it's a
Run away.
TPK machine.
in that case, I hope not, but then again, I'm pretty sure he's not pitting us up against a Trask that's going to be made by Oblexes, so
That's worse.
Yeah,
That's worse.
That's pretty bad.
yeah.
Hmm. I'm hoping chat has the answer for that one. Well, the character I mentioned before who might settle down in that little western town is actually on Mars, because that's where the entire adventure has taken place. He's a human from Earth, but is on Mars, because shenanigans. So there are no birds on Mars because the atmosphere is too thin. So that ecological niche is filled with dinosaurs. So he would probably bring a little roast saurian to the Thanksgiving dinner because that's the closest thing he could find to a turkey.
No birds on Mars,
Going
folks.
with MP.
Nope. There
You heard it
there you
here
have it. No birds on Mars.
There you go.
You think you don't learn anything from YouTube, but no birds on Mars.
If we're going with NPCs, I'm pretty sure one of my NPCs, Tali, short for Talamira, she would probably bring something that's mostly sugar and then eat the entire thing herself, while Spectra is constantly trying to hide it away from her because we don't need Tali exploding on the spaceship, but she's gonna find a way to get to it either way. Like stay in the anti-gravity chamber and she'll just ping pong back and forth.
Kylan, I don't know if you're looking at chat, but Warrig 379 just said, "Tell Wiggs that Calumet Con does not require sustenance. Thanks."
Oh dear. Oh dear, my friends have arrived. That's my Sunday night group, by the way. Hi guys.
I
Hi,
have
Sunday
no
night
idea if any of
group.
my people are watching. I shared this. I don't know if they're here or not.
Oh, that's funny.
For me, it's I'm gonna go with our team's butler, James. I'll try and do his voice too. If you're gonna keep making me do NPCs, but, man, I've been looking on my phone. I've been trying to Google how to pronounce this because it's French. But here we go. You'd be like, "Osh cookos," or eggs in pot. A beautiful dish topped with bacon, fresh herbs, cheese, pesto, or cream. It's visually impressive, delicious in flavor, and highly versatile. And it's just an eggs dish in all these different things. But the crown achievement would be just a glass of orange juice and like a little mimosa glass. But the rim would be lined with his tears because they treat him so bad. I need to be, like, the voice isn't perfect right now because I need to be in a sadder place. Like,
Dude.
Oh no!
That's what he would do. It's not
Wow.
Thanksgiving themed at all because this guy doesn't play by the rules. But the players would probably take that, throw it in his face, and ask for like Dino Nuggies instead or something.
Oh
like
man.
that.
Oh.
Give me the nuggets.
Tali would probably be like, "I was gonna make you this, but I don't know how to. And I was trying to make this, but it went poorly, so I made cookies." Then ate most of them.
A balanced.
I did not mean her to come across as like hyperactive teenager, but it happened, and I adore her, so it's fine.
Oh, there you go.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah. I think Edabrix is a halfling, and she would bring every potato dish she can think of. Potatoes are her favorite. So, yeah. Pretty
Mash,
potato
just
dish.
the whole meal potato.
Yeah.
Boil
Mashed
them, mash them,
potatoes.
stick them in a stew. I mean, it's that easy.
Exactly.
Potatoes.
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 That's gonna be stuck in my head.
I think
My-
Oscar, my current character, would just find a catering company just to prove to his party mates that he is in fact cool, and the rumors that he is the shit are correct. Because he's desperate. Oh, it's sad.
I love Oscar. He's so great.
I don't know. Man. 40 burgers.
40 burgers.
That's correct. Oh, someone knows the show. My goodness. There you go.
How many burgers would you like?
Greg's burgers. Nothing
40
but
burgers.
the best. 40 burgers.
Oh yeah. That was a funny episode. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Apache 1222 just said, okay, that's Shula's order. What about the rest of the group?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right. So Katie Machin brings up an interesting question and changes gears a little bit. She would like to know if you could have one TTRPG panel or discussion at a con, remember, large gatherings of people, what would the topic be about?
Are we picking the panel too, or just the topic?
Sure. If you have a panel of 9 that you would want to have on it, I would say go ahead and share that with us.
Is this like your the one person in history you'd want to have dinner with kind of question, or are we talking about living people?
They can be on the panel, I'm sure.
Yeah. Let's say anybody you want.
Okay. All right.
Like everyone I'm thinking of, I'm like, it's like they're all just so cool, and then there's me.
Sorry, it's the topic of the panel, what it could be about.
Yeah, so if you could have
Yeah.
one TTRPG panel or discussion at a con, what would it be about? So I'm
That is a
actually
tough
going to jump
question.
in because I actually
Yeah.
did submit a panel to PAX East back in February. It was turned down, but, they probably get, I don't even know how many hundreds of panel submissions every year. So the panel that I had submitted was called New Character Who Dis? Using text-based roleplay as a means of character development.
Oh, sure. That's great.
Yeah.
That does sound interesting.
I've done that, so
Yeah, exactly. I was very active doing text-based roleplay at the time, and it was a huge boon to character development for that character. So,
Yeah, the few times I jumped in on that with you was amazing.
Yeah.
It really helped me get Mihai sorted as a character, because you actually have time to stop and respond.
right.
Like, make
Right.
sure it's totally on point before you just blurt something out being silly and like, well, maybe that wasn't the most,
Yeah, you can really think about, like, how would they answer that question, or how would they handle this situation, as opposed to just having to respond in the minute. And probably even faster than that when you're in a streamed campaign, because you can't edit out dead space when you're live.
right.
I've never actually done text-based, but I have been talking with some people who have characters that are coming into my campaign, like probably a year from now, and it's kind of been similar-ish to that, just being able to talk it out through them every once in a while. I'm like, so-and-so do this, or here's the thing I need to have exist in the story. Can you want to fill in the blanks there? And it's been amazing, both for figuring out those characters and figuring out stuff with the campaign. For what panel I would want to do is I like looking at how TTRPGs have impact you as a person and impact how you see and interact with others, both in playing them and in being part of the community, because I know for me it's definitely, like, it's helped boost my self-confidence a lot, and just it helps you get into situations you normally wouldn't, and kind of think through how you would handle it. And I find, like, a lot of times when people are building their characters, you either kind of build it something along the lines of how you see yourself, or like things you want to be. Not always, but I feel like that does kind of play into it, and you can't not put pieces of yourself into the character. And I don't know who all I would invite other than just, like, spam message all of my friends and see who was actually free at the time.
I guess
one
it's
for you.
Oh, go for it.
Go ahead. Man, all three of us, really?
Okay,
Okay,
let's
sorry,
all three say it at
Sorry,
the same time.
Ready,
Sorry.
set, go.
I'll be really quick. I'm just trying to get into GMing and DMing now. My sister and I have been kind of picking away at the idea of writing our own adventure path, and even our own system. But my biggest anxieties lie in actually pulling the thing off and DMing it, because I'd want to do it live and make a whole show out of it and all this. But I would love to have a panel about, based on, I guess, a panel of current DMs, GMs, and talking about collaborative storytelling and how they go about pushing a narrative and their philosophies on, maybe not railroading certain things, but still being able to tie in everything as you go. It's a really fine skill, and it requires a lot of finesse. And I really, really appreciate it. And I know that I'm not at the point where I'd be able to pull it off competently yet, but I'm just so fascinated with it. And a lot of the podcasts that I listen to, like Plot Hooks, for example, just bring them up again. They cover that stuff really elegantly. And that's been like the majority of the content that I'm consuming now. Just like hearing other DMs talk about, oh, well, this is what we did in this situation, and this is how it was a creative example of how we can, tie in story pieces here and then hook into another part and then, continue the party on flawlessly, even though no one was ready for that, like that. There's every night is filled with those situations, and I'd love to hear people with more experience talk about them. I could sit in on that for hours and hours and hours.
Just like something I've personally learned is a lot of that kind of comes from getting a feel for your group and like who you're playing with and the characters, because like I'm also trying to find a balance between giving them time to have fun and explore and also kind of guiding the storyline. So I've just told my players, I'm like, I'm gonna let y'all explore, but there might be some times I kind of like railroad you guys a bit, but that's because there's important story stuff I don't want you to miss. I've also had to build in ways like if they don't do a certain thing and like it's an important thing to happen, I will find another way to make it happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of
completely wrecked by the big bad when they finally figured out what it is.
There's a lot of different ways to approach that topic. So you'd probably like my podcast too, by the way, Yotts.
I'm going to subscribe to it right now. Hey, just for fun, why don't we say the name of it out loud live on the stream, and then I'll link it in chat.
Sure, it's called Threat Dice, and you can find it at threatdice.buzzsprout.com.
I still love that name, by the way.
Oh, thanks. As far as panels go, I'm a very specific kind of nerd because while I do very much, I love the collaborative storytelling, I'm also a systems analyst and a systems designer, and so I really like making games. Like, that's just a thing I like to do. So I would really love to hear from a panel of, people from Evil Hat or from, Monty Cook or those guys who are really experienced game designers just talking about how they do their stuff, because that would be, like you said, Yotts, I could just sit there and listen to them for hours. Please tell me everything.
I'd also be very intrigued by that. Also, I'm totally down for that collaborative storytelling panel. Just please, if that's a thing, invite me.
For me, I feel like right now I'm so just engulfed in villains and stuff. I would love to listen to a panel on villains, and specifically like, big bads, or how I would call it, how to make your big bad better, bolder, and badder.
Nice.
Like that. Off the top.
Can I be on that one too?
Sign it up.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Be on that one too. Yes.
Oh, for
please
sure. Here we go.
invite me.
Marked. I am just so interested in villains and how they're used in storytelling media, be it movies or anything, or podcasts, but within actual plays and TTRPGs. I feel like the villains, and specifically, that main conflict between the players and the villains in the whole situation, I feel like it makes or breaks the game at the end of the day. Like there's a lot of fun you can have, but you need that core villain. You need that enemy. And the thing is, you see a lot of you see so many various types. You know, it could just be like a dragon who's like, fuck you, I'm gonna blow up your city, or all this other stuff. But you know, I'm just so interested in more of those like interesting villains where you either relate to or can actually, you know, come see where they're coming from, and sometimes maybe even, you know, all possibilities, the players could maybe align themselves somewhat closer to the villain and potentially even work with that, you know, that fluidity with villains and stuff. I don't know. It's been in my head for the past like month and stuff, just thinking about that. So I'd love to see a panel of people talk about their different villains and big bads and what makes them unique and what makes them tick.
Man, I love that you mentioned a relatable big bad. Like someone whose philosophy isn't all that different from your own when you really separate yourself from your objective truths of what everything is that's happening around you. Man,
villains that really, really, truly believe that they're doing the right thing, but they don't realize that something has twisted their view of what's right to the point, like, they're not seeing straight, but as far as they know, they're right.
Basically the big bad in my show just got revealed, and like I'm trying to, you know, do that nuance. So that's a panel on
I can't remember what show it was, but there was a DM who was running 2 different groups, and they both played in the same realm. And what they didn't know was one group was the other group's big bad.
Nice.
So they were going around to these poor downtrodden towns and raising the dead and giving them free workers, and they were bringing prosperity to the realm. And the other party was following them around, somehow a week behind. Who would thought, you know? And you know, well, you can imagine where that went. But they're just going around being like, well, hey, we have this power, let's use it. Let's come up. We have some more farmers now, don't worry about it. High fives. All right, we're great. You know, like,
I love that. Also,
dead, no big deal.
Amazing.
Also kind of fun to look at, sort of like, one thing I find like a lot of people sometimes leave out in their villains is why they do what they do. I'm not a fan of like, I'm evil just because I'm evil, because like I just that doesn't do it for me. It's like, why are you doing this? Like kind of digging into that, because also when the players figure out the why they're doing what they're doing, and they might actually figure out what they're doing, be able to figure out how to make sure that doesn't happen. Maybe find a way to make it happen in a way that isn't terrible.
Impossible.
It depends on what you bribe the DM with.
Snacks.
That works.
Always.
I'm going to try and answer this question. This is a hard question. I really had to think about this for a while. So lately I've been hearing that people are using TTRPGs as in education and in therapy, which is kind of blows my mind. And I'm an educator. I'm a high school teacher. If any of my students are watching right now, surprise! Bet you didn't think you'd see this. It's a secret. But I kind of can't wrap my head around what that looks like, because to be honest, any game I've ever played involves like quite a lot of like of violence, right? And sometimes that violence is like very explicit, and that just doesn't feel like it would belong in either in a therapist's office or in a classroom, high school, or whatever. And yet to remove that element, it would seem like, well, now it's not the same game. So I would be like thrilled to hear stories that people have where they've used this successfully. I know it's happening. It's hard for me to imagine what it looks like. I don't know. Have any of you ever done that?
I haven't, but I've attended a lot of. I'm a social worker. And I've attended a lot of panels on exactly that topic. And it is really, really interesting and very, very cool. The people that I've heard from don't remove it completely, but like they tweak it so that it's in a way that like the combat isn't the main focus. It's not like, oh, we have to go out and kill the big bad. It's more the problem solving around things, or various things like that. It's a very interesting topic. I would recommend checking out don't ask me to spell his last name, but Dr. Rafael Bacamazzo. I think he goes by like the real Dr. B on Twitter or something like that. He is the clinical director of Take This, which is a nonprofit organization that does a lot around mental health and gaming. And so he's been on a number of panels that I've seen speak to that, and is a huge resource. So I would look him up.
I think I heard you mention that on the Ironbound Chest interview recently, right?
Probably, yeah. Yep. I've talked about him quite a few times. He's a very knowledgeable person and a great speaker too, and has his own first world knowledge. He actually is on the autism spectrum, so he has his own firsthand knowledge of how it works for him, but then also how using it in various settings can be therapeutic for other people. So yeah, it's really cool.
I could see it being really helpful for exploring like ethical and moral quandaries with young kids. Or, repercussions of actions, that kind of thing, without, I mean, there's really no risk to them otherwise, right? They can take their time and sit down and explore it. I think it was on one of these shows, Luna, one of the Tales episodes where we had Shannon on.
Yeah.
And she was talking about doing that with her grade 3 kids, something like that.
Yeah, she does it with some really littles.
She has some cool examples, and she's really easy to reach out to. She'd love to talk to you about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, as I was saying, there's also some games that are geared more towards that, or games where it's like more narrative focus, or like different, like focus on different mechanics and different world building that lean more towards that. I like hanging out in the D&D space, especially in the podcasting world, just because there's not always a lot of women lady DMs. Like it's getting more, but I'm like, you know what? I want to be a part of the more. I was completely off topic. My bad.
No, it's fine.
Just to circle back real briefly on the text-based roleplay, I had a character in a recent session get separated from the rest of his group, and for the meantime, so they kind of split for a little bit, and the player brought in another character to hang out with the group for the time being, while his main character was stuck in the Japanese underworld, and we played out that second storyline, him alone, via text, and it was great.
Yeah.
They let me push the character in interesting ways, present, different scenarios, and it really helped develop things along. It was awesome. Highly recommended.
Because I think one of the things about text is, like, you don't always just get to, like, just sit there in character. To the extent that you can there, because like I've had a lot of people after doing Tales of Adventure, they're just like, after the interview, they sit back like, wow, I didn't realize that's exactly where their head was after all of this. Like, okay. Like, I didn't realize this, and this. I'm like, yeah, it's just an accidental therapist.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a very fun way to explore, your character's headspace, but not having to like sit there all the time. And when we would do it at the time that I was playing it, there would be times where like 2 or 3 of us might be on at once, and so we would run through some story to some extent, but it was always like people could just pop in and out if they wanted to, or that was the idea behind it. So it's kind of a neat way to explore that character. But yeah, I think chat's been kind of quiet tonight. I haven't seen any. Pat Duck wants to know if there are any text-based roleplay places. I was in a server that did one. It was specifically designed for that. I know there are some Discord servers out there for it. I know there used to be some sites that were geared towards it too. I don't know. I mean, that was 10 plus years ago. I don't know if those are still around, but
there are also some pretty dedicated text-based roleplay groups inside games like Elder Scrolls Online, World of Warcraft. They do exist within those spaces as well.
My Roll20 game is text-based.
It's big.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Sorry, Brianna, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying I have a friend that does the role playing on World of Warcraft, and it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it definitely can be.
John, you run a Roll20 game that's text based?
Yeah, I think it's pretty rare. So I started doing it because my internet connection is usually bad enough that I can't do like video. I'm in an apartment, so I guess it shares with a lot of the people that live here. But I really wanted to be in a game other than my solo play thing. And so I got in Roll20 and I looked for a text-based, and I found this group, and it is amazing because like nobody ever breaks character to the point, and I mean ever. I don't know my co-players. I don't know their gender, age, where they live, anything. It's 100% character. It's intense. It's really good.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Great.
Sounds
they're out there
really
if you're
fun,
looking.
and I would never get anything done. I was just like, nope, I like this world better.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've got too much editing to do.
Is that asynchronous, or do you have a regular gaming time and everybody just stays in text?
It's synchronous, so it's just like a Roll20 game, except you don't see any faces and you don't hear any voices.
Cool.
So you get that mini map, and then there's a chat. Yeah, a mini map and a chat. That is it.
Awesome.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
It really works. It really works.
Yeah.
That's very clever. I like that a lot.
Me too.
All right, so we're all meeting after this to start our text-based game, right? That's the
yeah, right. Apparently, yeah.
Nice.
Typing my character into the chat. Don't look at me.
Important question. What genre are we in? And talk about how weird can I get with my characters?
We're gonna do an all Aarakocra based adventure. Yeah.
Then if
Pun
you'll
names
steal
only?
Flustercluck from
Pun
me,
names only. Yep.
you steal Flustercluck from me, I will do the assassin one and kill all of you.
No, I'm playing Dwayne the Hawk Johnson.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I love it.
I love it. You guys are so fun.
Building on your idea from earlier, John, I think I'm gonna have to go with Feather Graham.
Oh Lord.
If this becomes like an actual thing, please invite me, because oh my gosh, yes.
So fun. All right. So one of the questions that we've asked before, and I kind of like it because it always sparks a really great discussion. If you could learn one cantrip spell in real life, what would you want to learn, and why?
Ooh.
Pulling up cantrips.
Yep. 5e or anything.
I'll say anything.
Yeah, cool.
Boy.
Well, Yotts and I play Pathfinder,
Because
so
I'm way more familiar with Pathfinder, so I'm sure there's a ton of crossover anyway, but
I don't play a lot of spellcasters. I'm generally a martial type guy, but
yeah, same.
I play a lot of spellcasters because my attack rolls usually suck. So I played my paladin
Fair.
for over a year before I hit anything. So there's a reason I don't know how melee combat works. The Rome couldn't hit anything until she stole the monk's spear, and he ain't getting it back.
I totally have an answer to this.
All right, go for it.
Go
And
for
it's
it.
so blatantly obvious to anyone who's played a sorcerer in Pathfinder First Edition. The only choice is prestidigitation. It's basically Wish on a
seriously?
minor level. You can do anything. Just fucking do anything. That's what the text says. Fucking do anything.
It's true.
No, but when you
Even
look
in
into it,
D&D,
there's
you
a
can
million and
still do
one
some-
creative uses.
Yep.
I know D&D does limit it, but you can still do quite a bit with prestidigitation as well, so... I have a character who's picking up so she can take advantage of the conceal 1 cubic foot of something. So we're about to fight someone she really doesn't like, so she's gonna make it real awkward. And then just huck fire at him because Lexes are flammable.
And as a human, I'm not leveling up past my current state. I need to know these things. Eldritch Blast, probably not on the table. All right.
Seems a little OP.
It might, yeah, it might be weird and a little too serious, but I think Spare the Dying would be a really cool cantrip to know. Like,
Yeah.
talk about useful, you know?
Wow.
Just
Just go in hospitals and like.
Yeah, you're bleeding out.
touch,
Nope.
touch.
Yeah. Nope.
Nope.
Ride an ambulance. Nope. Nope. Like
Then,
we now have plenty of time to get you to where you need to be.
Yes.
Like
Now my chill
But
chat
what's the touch healing spell? I know there's there's a healing spell cantrip. I just can't remember which one it is. Have someone follow behind him like pat 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 and go to the next one.
I think I'm going to go with mending because it's kind of like
mending.
having magic duct tape.
Yep.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Leaky pipe,
Absolutely.
mending. Got some tear in your pants? Mending. Oh, you wanted that tear in your pants. Sorry. Right, mend it.
Here, we'll put
You
it
have
back.
you have to put it back.
Just get a job as a seamstress. Touch.
That's right. I'm gonna
That's
open up
the
a shack right by the Raisin Boy. Pants mended.
No
5
way.
copper.
You can mend his raisins back into grapes.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Fixed. Okay, thanks. Yeah,
And
that
that's
is
gonna
definitely
be
DM's
right next
discretion.
to-
Sorry.
It's gonna be right next to Ripley's Unbelievable Potion Shop because her last name is Ripley and I can't help it.
With oh man, there's so many good ones that could just be hilarious to just use, like party tricks. You know what I mean? Produce Flame, honestly, probably one of the more useful ones. I would go with Produce
True.
Flame, especially because I'm in Canada, so I live in an igloo actually.
It's a
I'll give a house
beautiful
tour
sir.
some
I was
other
gonna
time.
say, it's a
I don't have
very
time right now,
well-decorated
but
igloo.
That's snow.
Very nice.
all
Thank you.
Canadians
And
get
professionally
chill
carved.
touch.
Yeah, naturally. It's kind of a born trait. Yeah, no, Produce Flame
Ancestry
probably.
trait, yeah.
I don't know. It would be really good.
Kids
just,
are always
you know,
called, does that mean I'm Canadian? Am I like secretly Canadian and no one ever told me?
Ancestry.com. It'll tell you all your special spells. It'll tell you all your stuff.
When you
I
get
did
sworn
it.
in as a sorcerer of Canada.
Personally, I'm a dragonborn.
Sorcerer of
Bloodlines are
Canada is a
important,
special.
yeah.
It's a special subclass with its own its own background.
Exactly.
Instead of like getting extra spell slots, you just take shots of maple syrup and you're fine. You get more
Oh
spells.
my god!
You can choose to have a goose, a beaver, or a moose as your familiar. But that's high level.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
takes a
it's
while
high
to get there. Yeah.
Dude, Canadian geese are the worst though. I hate them so much.
Well,
They give
they're
you a bonus
fierce.
to
That's,
initiative.
that's why they make
They're-
good familiars because they're fierce and deadly and
That is true.
Oh gosh, now we've got off on a whole tangent. And
I was about to
actually,
say, do we want to get back on track?
well, what I was gonna say
do we have a
is
track?
we actually need to pause for a break. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna be back in probably like 5-ish minutes. Let our guests get up, stretch their legs, all that good stuff, and we'll be back. I'm gonna post a poll in just a minute, and yeah, let us know in chat too if you would be interested in answering the question of if you could pick a cantrip IRL. I'll be curious to see what chat has to say. So let us know over the break, and we'll take a look at what everybody has to say. And we'll see you in just a few minutes.
God, how fun this is.
helps if I remember to blow up my screen again. There we go. All
Does help.
right. I still have to fix the cameras on this screen because they're still messed up on this one. But we are back from our break. Hope you all had a
Aye.
good break. And the answers of the poll came in. 6 people voted for prestidigitation as their cantrip of choice. So
I'm worried I oversold that. I really didn't.
well, no, I'll tell
isn't
you.
that basically just
I'll tell you, Yotts, that was actually what won the last time we ran that same poll, was prestidigitation.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, yeah, same deal. People made
isn't
the
that
same
just
argument.
like learning
A lot of
magic though,
really-
like stage magic, basically?
Yep. Pretty much.
You can do a lot
It
of
does
really,
some pretty wild things,
really
yeah.
useful stuff. You can do a lot of really useful things, and then you can mess with people real good.
It's true. All right. Well, we got a few
Fair enough.
good questions that came in, some during the break and some just before we went to break. So let's start off with those. Let's see. Spinna007. What difficulties or challenges, if any, have any of you come across when it came to character development or character expansion?
Ooh,
Big
that
questions.
is a good question.
Jump back from the break. So
That's a
Heavy.
big question.
Yeah.
and that's why we saved it for after the break.
A good call.
I actually have a story. It relates to the first character I ever created, which was Scarlet. But with how I originally had her backstory, like I played her for a couple of sessions before I realized, like with how her story was built, there was just not really anywhere to go with her character. Also, her character just didn't really know how to interact socially with people, wasn't capable of trusting anyone. That's why I ended up pulling her from the game I was in and swapping her out with a half-elf druid who doesn't fully realize she's a druid because she grew up on the streets and is just an adorable, clueless ray of sunshine. But I then had just kind of helped me think of being better about building my stories in a way where I can get my characters have somewhere to go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But also building it in a way like leaving some things blank so you can fit and like adjust to different worlds, because I have a lot of ideas. I don't know what campaign I'm gonna put them in, so it's trying to give just enough of a story and like leave some wiggle room where you could fit them to different worlds, different worlds or different party configurations.
I can hop in on that one. Be it that I'm a newer player, like I said, year and a half-ish experience in TTRPG in general. I think the biggest difficulties or challenges that I've come across pertaining to character development and expansion would be knowing the right time to slip in hints to the backstory without forcing it upon the party. There's so many it is difficult, and it's like those jamming or DMing things that we were talking about before. It requires a little bit of finesse to not seem just shoehorned in sometimes.
Yep.
But it can take so much to go through and write this like crazy elaborate backstory, and you're like, okay, I know it. No one else does. How am I going to do this? Like,
Yep.
because I'm just a regular dude until I find a nice way to slip that in, and then one little hint there, and so on and so forth. And I find that really intriguing how people can masterfully weave in things casually and describe their backstory without just being like, oh, hey, I'm this guy and I did this and I did that and so on and so forth and whatever. I don't know. That's been my biggest challenge. There was so many things with my previous character that I didn't have the opportunity to get out before the show came to a close that I really that's my biggest regret, and I'm really trying to approach that a different way with my new character, because there were so many neat things that I just would have loved to explore, like different themes of his backstory with the rest of my party and get their take on it.
Yeah.
True. And then there's also like the balance between like what would people learn about, like what would the other characters learn about you, just kind of like in the off not RP part of the game, because like they'll hang out. Surely like they find out some things versus like what parts of like you sharing your story would you want to lay out, because like I have some characters, like I said, Hero, she's a smuggler. There's 2 party members where like she still hasn't told them because she's waiting to like suss out like if I tell them, will they get me arrested? And then there's with my drow pal, like she used to be someone completely different, so party still doesn't know that she once literally went by another name. Like I don't know if they're ever gonna find that out, but so far the only hint to that has been off screen, where none of them heard anything.
Yeah, I mentioned that a little bit ago. It might have been before we started, actually, that when we started up a new game a couple years ago, I decided that sort of as a joke, I was going to play the edgy rogue. Like it was supposed to be sort of meta commentary at first. Yeah, you know, like I'm aware of the trope. My group's aware of the trope, right? I'm gonna play the edgy rogue, and I ended up kind of. I'm not even sure the group knows this, but he was neutral evil when we started. With the GM's blessing, he was neutral evil. And so I was planning to like play him as, you know, selfish and self-absorbed and willing to just, you know, cut through the banter and murder the prisoner to stop the conversation. You know, that sort of thing. And it was only, I don't know, 4 or 5 sessions in that one of the other party members did something so much worse than I could have ever imagined that I was like, oh, maybe I'm not as evil as I thought I was. And then, but as I played the character more, I discovered that there wasn't any depth to it. And I kept trying to bring something into it. You know, I had a fairly elaborate backstory, and the GM was doing a great job, like bringing in his, you know, the people that he had, okay, I guess I can say this now because he's dead. Bringing in the people that he had betrayed, but he'd spent the whole time lying to his group and like saying, no, these people are just out to get me, when really he was the asshole. So I guess now that he's dead, I can let that go. And then he kept dying, and the only way we had to bring them back was reincarnation. So he kept being different people, and eventually it just sort of came to this point where I couldn't figure out what to do with this character. So when I made yet another tactical error, because I am not as good at Pathfinder as I should be, and he died for the 4th time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to back up. And I'm going to try and do this the right way. And bring in a character who has a reason to be here.
I'm going to build off on what Kylan was saying there. And one of the troubles that I have when I'm building a character is to not make them like a one-note flute, you know, to really give them more than one characteristic and not be just a cartoon or a habit or a bunch of one-liners or... you know, a dumb tank that likes to fight or something. I want to give them like real depth. But I do find that kind of comes along over time with the experience. Like if you are open to letting the experiences of the game not just happen to the character, but actually shape them, and then they change and react depending on what happens to them and what they faced, and have they seen a lot of death? What's that going to do to them? Or has somebody done some selfless thing to them? Would that change their attitude towards, you know, other people? So that's kind of the approach I take. People, I guess, characters kind of do start off a little bit cartoony, especially like as a podcaster. I don't know if you guys feel this too, but you can't do too much detail because you kind of got to keep the action going. So you can't have so much exposition. So characters do start off as a kind of maybe a couple of traits, but then over time things happen to them, and then they really come into their own just organically. It just happens. But for me, the biggest difficulty by far, especially now that I've gone through several characters, is coming up with a voice. This is getting harder and harder and harder and harder. I feel like I'm running out. I don't know how many more I've got in here.
They just kind of start merging together. Like every once in a while, I'll be like, "Wait, Hero, what are you doing here? Go away! It's Rome's turn."
What are your tricks for voices, guys? Give me your tricks for doing voices.
Just whatever comes out, however weird it sounds.
Do you think of like a famous person?
Sometimes.
What I do is I honestly watch a lot of videos of people doing impressions, and then I try to do those impressions or mimic it. And I find that my own version of a voice comes from that. Also, a lot of showers. I have a chair in there now. It's that's place. But yeah, honestly though, like I just try to mimic stuff. There's a lot of times I'm just one of my players is my brother, so we're playing like PS4 or 5. He has one, jealous. But we're playing and I'm just doing voices to him. I'm like, is this good? Is this good? You know, I'm just like, we're just trying to make fun or do parodies. I don't know. I just constantly workshopping, constantly throwing stuff at the wall, and then you get raisins. You know,
that's right.
Terrible.
I totally heard the ear raisins.
I hear ear raisins too, by the way.
Yeah, raisins.
I don't know what ear raisins are, but no thanks. I'll pass. I'll have some peanuts.
In terms of, I will answer the original question, the difficulty thing. I'll come at it from actually a dungeon master point of view because I haven't been a player in for so long and I'm sad. But basically, one of the characters in our show, or one of the players, he plays an Eladrin that is the son of an archfey and was exiled from the Feywild to the prime material plane. Very cool backstory, very fleshed out and stuff. However, in the prime material plane, he's kind of this fish out of water. So all throughout season 1 of our show, you know, he's kind of playing that up. As you were saying, like, you know, the characters at most beginning of any games that anybody plays, it's usually a few couple of traits, and then eventually it kind of builds out because nobody truly knows what their character is going to be right out the gate, right?
They're going to die anyway, right?
Yeah, they're going to die, so why bother? But basically, you know, fish out of water was his trait. And I saw that, you know, over time, you know, he was wanting to play more stuff and, you know, dive into that Feywild backstory, even though it's a whole plane away. So in season 2, you know, they had all these various options. Essentially, it boiled down to one of these, like, choose one of 4 paths. But I planned that each one of those paths that there'd be, like, something to, you know, draw out his character a little bit more in a creative way that he doesn't see coming, that he's going to have to instinctually play off of, which I think is the best way for, you know, that player to draw it out. So they chose the path where he got this basically the most powerful sorcerer in the entire world from like thousands of years ago that decided one day to become a fish. And so the fish out of water literally is now being mentored by a fish in a water bowl.
Wow.
Yeah, but
I love it.
yeah, so he also the fish is kind of like this evil sorcerer, like the demon on the shoulder type. So it's a fun thing, and the fish is from the Feywild, so he has that to relate to. So I find from a GM perspective, when you see your players kind of struggling to bring that backstory to the forefront, or struggling to bring it out in a way that's not cheesy, I really try to, you know, make it random and make it improv-y, but also throw them a bone. So, you know, you gotta be kind of aware of that, and where people can, you know, where players can be accentuated, because I think that's the DM's job at the end of the day, is make your players better.
Is there a cartoon or a comic with an evil fish in it? I have this. Why do I have this image of an evil goldfish?
I think I have the same image, and I think that's where it came from.
Oh, is it American Dad? Oh, okay. Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you. All right.
Different, I promise. I mean,
I was trying to figure that out at the same time you were, and it just came to me.
Thank you.
Actually, like, kind of bouncing off what you were saying, though, like, whenever I started for Board the Open Star, like, I had a vague idea of where I was going, but I was, like, a lot of how the story is developed, either I made up after the fact once I got a feel for the players, and, like, to kind of look at sort of their theories on what was going on and find ways to, like, intertwine that. In session 0, because one of the characters is a celebrity, there was an offhand remark another player said about, like, oh, maybe I'll find out that there's a hit out on this person. I'm like, Okay, so when the hit gets called on this person, you can't get mad at me. She suggested it. It is a lot of fun finding ways to intertwine those backstories to help like give their characters time and the space to grow. So coming up with trying to figure out when to start laying plot threads for things that haven't even been mentioned yet is which is why I'm kidnapping other people to play those characters so I can bug them with questions about okay, how do we do this?
All right. Well, we also have a question that came in from Braids Blades. The question is, what is your favorite TTRPG element that you've stolen from pop culture, from a pop culture reference? A celebrity impression for a character voice, Jane Austen backstory for an NPC. What you got?
Brilliant.
Okay, I got one.
500.
So we did.
I love it.
We did
All
a
of mine are
one-shot.
Spoilers.
That's when
All
you just
mine are
say yes. Yes, it's happening.
So like I can think of like 3: person, an event that's going to happen, and something that a character is going to have. I had to make specific to certain classes that my players aren't, so they don't get mad that they can't have one.
For what I was, this was actually one time I was a player, and it was for a show. It was for like a one-shot we did. But essentially, so I went like way out there, right? So essentially, I was a beaver person, a casteran. If you've never heard of it, it's a thing. And I was a beaver person, and their name was Chris Pine. And
I don't know.
The character was legitimately Chris Pine, but basically Chris Pine died in our timeline, and he was reborn in Fantasyland. Very, very anime trope or something. But yeah, he was a beaver youth pastor, and he was Chris Pining it up and promoting his Star Trek films. So
Amazing.
Oh my gosh.
that's the most direct I can think of
love
off the top of my head.
I guess I can kind of say one of my, it's not a super spoiler thing for my players, but at one point one of them jokingly brought Lady Gaga into the universe, so I was just like, it could be fun to make that canon. So they might have, one of them might have accidentally damaged her reputation, and then there was like a celebrity trivia night at a bar, so they were listening in on the conversation, so it's like, seeing what kind of person she is. I rolled a d20. If it's up over a 10, they're a good person. I got a 19. Someone got a lot of guilt with their dinner.
I got a bunch of them, but I'm gonna pick one. And actually, this one happened by accident. I found out after the fact that I'd done this sort of like pop culture reference, and it was totally accidental. And there are probably 100 like deliberate Easter eggs of this kind running through my show, but this one was purely coincidence and kind of bad. In my first episode, my episode 0, I'm kind of talking about what my project is maybe going to be and what I'd like it to be, and I talk about how it's going to be a non-comedy podcast. So it's like there's no comedy in it at all, and so I'm kind of dunking on like gnome samurais and all that kind of wacky stuff that I was going to deliberately avoid. I like some of that stuff, but I didn't want to make it. Anyway, so I spent like a good minute dunking on kind of like a half-orc barbarian named Grog, and I was like, there's not going to be any barbarians with like intelligence of 3 named Grog in my show. And little did I know that there was like this famous critical role exactly that.
Yep.
Half-orc barbarian named Grog. So I'm sure that I bet I lost.
No, you didn't know that when you said
I
that.
I didn't know that.
I thought that was intentional.
I bet
That's amazing.
I bet I like.
But it does speak to how.
When I said that, I was like, nobody could possibly name their character that, but they did, and so I bet I turned off. I bet I turned off a couple thousand listeners like immediately, just like delete. Fuck you, buddy.
Oh, that's funny.
I thought it was great, and it was just like, yes.
I mean,
Just was.
I'll go on record right now and say, like, I
love
don't get Critical Role. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I wasn't trying to dunk on him specifically.
I like it. I enjoy it, but I also enjoy other things where the episodes aren't 4 hours.
Yeah, no, I get what they do, and I get the genius of Matt Mercer and all that. But if I had known what I was doing, even just for the sake of not pissing off 50% of my potential audience, I never would have done that.
Not my grog. Not my grog.
Not my grog.
Every now and then I think I should go back, edit it out, and just quietly re-upload it. Never happened.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Never happened.
I think it's pretty hilarious. I think you should just roll with it.
Maybe.
If anyone calls you, be like, "Yeah, I said that."
I should
What are you
own
gonna do
it.
about it?
Own it.
Hey, you're just reiterating that you want to do something different. You never said there was anything wrong with that. You're just saying, I don't want my story. This is my bubble. It's mine. You have yours. Don't tell me how to make my story. Yeah, I hate when people.
You put a gentle spin on that, Brianna.
She could be your
I
PR
studied
person
public
for when you
relations.
get canceled on Twitter. For that.
I studied public relations in college, fun fact, and now I'm looking to basically start my own production company, kind of, once I figure out how that works. Because right now it's entirely me. And it's a lot.
I once played a paladin based off of 1980s She-Ra.
Nice.
I thought you were going to say Knight Rider for
Yeah.
sure.
No, it was definitely based on the 80s version of She-Ra, and it was atrocious. I lasted, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes before I was like, yeah, no, this is not going to happen.
They die.
It was
on the
just too,
spot.
like, sickly sweet for me.
I don't know. It's probably been a long time since I have deliberately done that because I tend personally toward more serious stories. It's just my preference. And so I don't tend to bring in that sort of joke, but I will give a shout out to one of my fellow players in my Sunday night game who is playing this character right now as we speak. He took a character concept from, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Troll Hunters series. It's a
Kind of.
a DreamWorks show on Netflix. The second entry is called Three Below, and it's about aliens on Earth. And one of the characters is played by Nick Offerman, who is from Parks and Rec. And this character's name is Varvatos Vex, and he always speaks like this because he is in charge, and Varvatos Vex always speaks in the third person. And so we have a paladin in our group named Calumet Khan, who was brought up earlier very briefly, who talks exactly like that because he's the same character, but, you know, he's a paladin, and he smashes things, and he's Calumet Khan, and he does not require sustenance. So, I appreciate that one.
Most of what my paladin does is make sure that the monk doesn't accidentally get himself killed again. One time we were walking, like we'd been staying in this inn, and we'd walked over to check on the forge in the morning, and then as we're walking back, he's hanging out the 4th story window with no pants on because apparently someone had chucked his pants out the window after he fell asleep on them the night before. And he still has not lived it down.
Oh no.
Will forever be known as the pantsless. Literally everywhere. Everywhere we go.
That nickname carries. Like that's some range.
Especially when your wizard has a fairy dragon that'll just zip around. Take us the pantsless.
That'll do it.
For me, my new character Oscar is he's a gladiator, if you will, but in the WWF realm type of thing. So it's all made up and it's all really silly. I know you said you lean a little bit more towards serious characters. I definitely am doing the opposite with this one because my first one was kind of broody and too serious. So this guy is really silly in the sense that he's not trying to be silly. He's just really dumb.
Sure. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. and that makes for a fun time playing him. But
Absolutely.
when I was imagining how I would mold him together and kind of make him a character, I was thinking okay, kind of like Gaston, Beauty and the Beast, and lots of Zap Brannigan in there from Futurama.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
it's very, very Zap Brannigan. Not a lot of this hasn't come out yet, but that's definitely where he's going. So stay tuned.
I'll pretend
Well,
I'm
you know
not
what they
listening.
say. No one hits like Gaston. No one crits like Gaston.
No one's pictures on
Right?
page 256 like Gaston.
Exactly.
Man, where's my notebook?
Oh,
Hold on.
y'all are my
You guys
people.
got way too many good things.
By the way, if
I
you
just
check,
want to be.
is it the player's handbook?
I think
it's
so.
the player's handbook.
Yeah,
You should look at the player's handbook on page 256.
I
'cause
can't remember if it's exactly that page, but it's like
It's he's in there somewhere.
yeah. There's a picture that looks just like Gaston.
Yep. The red
Amazing.
shirt and everything. It cannot be a coincidence.
Yeah.
It
I
is
just
not an
want him to
accident.
be cliche and you know, like I'm being honest here. I just really wanted to
Totally,
have
yeah.
fun with it and relax a little bit and not take it as serious. And I think
That's awesome.
our current GM Dave really leans into that like silliness as well. Like
Yeah.
he's so open to having fun and just letting anything roll, and like he'll reel you in a little bit if he has to, but he's really fun to play with.
Yeah. He is a really fun.
He lets me
Nice.
get away with it.
You gotta love
I think
playing
my-
characters too with like obvious flaws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think probably my silliest character is definitely Cassie. She's the half-elf druid who grew up on the streets and doesn't realize she's a druid. Just because, like, she just doesn't know a lot. So, like, because, like, I've got to play her once in the campaign, and basically she's just walking through the woods, and she finds a woman, like, passed out in the middle of the woods. She's like, are you okay? Turns out she's a half-vampire. Thankfully, she wasn't a hungry half-vampire, otherwise that would have gone very poorly. She just casted Liamon's Tiny Hut, which is a bard spell, but she can do it because my DM let me do it, and just sat there playing fetch with her ferret while watching a stranger sleep.
Okay.
So when the party met her, there's this weird ethereal hut, and a stick would fly out, and a ferret would chase after it, and it would go back. She's adorable, but she doesn't know a lot.
All right. Well, then we will push on to the next question that we got. Another one from Spinna. Who or what was your favorite NPC you've come across in a session?
Raisin Boy.
Yep, I'm gonna vote
Right
for Raisin
now.
Boy.
He's ethereal. Just kidding, but holy cow, I love that. I wish he
Yeah,
was
that's
in our
really-
campaign.
Yeah,
really
you gotta
good.
believe I can't speak the next day after.
Oh, I
Oh,
bet.
I'm sure.
Man.
It's one of those characters you have to retire after a while because it's just killing your throat.
Yeah, they were honestly in the show for like 10 seconds. but they're near and dear to my heart.
You gotta bring him back for the sequel though. Raising Hell.
Yeah.
He's actually the big bad
A
the
one
whole time.
shot coming in. I gotta write that down.
Let's see. Favorite NPC, huh?
It is a tough one. There's so many good
Yeah,
examples.
there's so many. Yeah.
I'm just
I
like,
got
I'm
one
not
while
like,
you guys are
Time,
thinking.
We've come across many.
I got one while you
Squee
guys are
was
thinking of one.
Go
Oh,
for
sorry.
it.
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
for it.
Go ahead,
No,
Jess.
sorry.
All you,
we,
yes.
we had a little goblin that our party befriended by the name of Squee. And he was just acted really well. Like Mike did a fantastic job on him. And it was just like so he really brought him to life.
And chat
yeah,
loved him.
like chat loved him. And there were people messaging me like, if Squee dies, like I'm out. Like don't expect me to show up.
Yeah.
Like, well, I have no
You kill
control
him,
over
you
that. I'll
kill
try
me.
save him. I don't know, but he was hilarious, and we had like so many people were asking for like Squee merch or like hashtag Squee for Prez was showing up in chat all the time.
Yeah.
And, like just weird things. He just really stuck. You know, it was kind of like we'll just. I don't think Mike intended to maybe I'm wrong, but I don't
No.
think he intended for him to be around for more than an episode.
He
Just
was
like
not
a casual
supposed to be. He was
pop-in.
supposed to be like a passing NPC.
All of a sudden, he's in like every episode. We're always like, let's go see what Squeak thinks about this. Yeah.
That's good.
Sorry, he was great though. That's my answer for sure.
Yeah. We have one in my Disciples of the Eight campaign. It's one of the ones that I'm in. We were doing like this dungeon crawl, trying to deal with a bunch of Smirnoff, and we found this like 18-year-old kid. We don't remember what his actual name. Well, I don't personally remember what his name was anymore. We all call him Linguini because he had been kidnapped and held for about like 10 years by the Smirnoff and made to cook for them, and we had killed them all so far. We're like, hey, we're gonna kill the rest of them. You stay here and we'll come back for you. And he's like stayed with us, and now he's got his own little cute romantic side plot going on. And we keep having to remind our thief lord friends, please do not kill Linguini. And we have adopted him, and it's just like, don't touch Linguini. Linguini dies, we riot. Oh, the fact that whenever, for the longest time traveling, whenever he cooked us something, he was such a good cook, it counted as a hero's feast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is great, but I'm still a little concerned about why my DM gave us that.
I always find it funny
Like-
what NPCs stick, you know? Which ones players gravitate towards.
And it's never the ones that you expect.
Never.
No.
Never. It's always the random one-off.
Yeah. It's a little harder for your players to adopt an NPC when they're on a spaceship. I'm pretty sure if Tali hadn't been part of the crew, they would have kidnapped her because she's bubblegum pink, absolutely adorable, and pretty good at a fight. And just an all-around nerd.
Man, I'm still stuck. John, I thought you said that you had an idea.
I do, but I have this fear of talking over people, and I know I keep doing it. Sorry, guys.
No, you're all good.
So, the one that came to mind when I heard the question was a character that he hasn't shown up on my show yet, but I've written / played ahead of where my publishing releases by a bunch of episodes. So in my head, the story is much further along than what I've published. Anyway, there's a character, and without sort of spoiling anything, there's a character named Barrock Ironskin. He's this grizzled old dwarf, big scar running up the side of his face through one eye, real bastard, real son of a bitch. And he was like a good character. I liked him a lot. He was a bit of an experiment because he's the first character I ever co-created with somebody. And I co-created him with Austin Moraga of Ironbound Chest. Just, hey, what? Never done this before. Let's
That's
co-create
cool.
a character.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
But this character,
Also, Austin's
he was
awesome.
good. Austin's amazing. And actually, it's because of Austin that this character, I think, is now my favorite villain. Because when Austin voiced him, I don't know, he's kind of got a voice like you, Yotts, like this awesome, deep, rumbling bass.
Nice.
And it's got gravity. Like it is huge. And so when Austin sent me the files, reading off the script, and even better for a character that he'd helped to create, this guy came to life in like the nastiest but good way.
That's
And
awesome.
I just loved seeing life get breathed into this total heavy. It was awesome. Anyway, coming soon. Coming
It's
soon.
the best. It's the best.
Nice.
Yeah, because like I've been doing something similar with War of the Opal Star, where like I'm getting someone to come in and kind of fill for the main big bad. It just all started with me asking, "Hey, how's your creepy mad scientist voice?" So like, he sent me a soundbite. I was like, not only was it amazing, but I'm like, I now like the things he said. I'm like, that wasn't part of the story, but now it might be. And like, it just, I love co-creating characters because like that has evolved so much. I've brought in someone else to play kind of like a counterpart to that character, and that's evolved a lot. But also, there's stuff each of them don't know about the other character. So like I kind of can't wait till like all the things get revealed, but it's gonna be in at least a year, because I'm kind of giving each character like to the characters like their own kind of little arc for their personal story stuff, and we're almost to the point where one of them like kind of more or less gets completed in a way.
I like the idea that everyone's got a creepy man scientist voice, and your friend was just asking, how's yours?
Right.
Yeah. I've asked him a lot of other like really weird questions instead of because there's one time I was like, so there's need to exist, and how would you like to help me design a cult?
Writers and D&D players, man, we must be on all the FBI watch list for the things
Oh,
we
Right?
yeah,
ask
The stuff
and
that
Google.
we search for on the internet, man.
Seriously.
Can a 45-pound halfling carry a dead human?
No birds on
on what their
Mars.
strength
No birds on Mars.
modifier.
That's code.
No words on Mars. Yeah.
That's a code. It's a code for something. It's some kind of trafficking ring. No birds on Mars.
Sometimes I just want to say hi to whoever's monitoring my search and like monitoring my computer.
Oh yeah, I'm totally not
Hello to
gonna
the
lie.
FBI. Hello to CSIS.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've jokingly said like I'll be in a Discord voice chat, you know, talking about something D&D related, and I'll be like, "Hello FBI," or whoever's listening right now.
I'm fine if you listen,
Yeah.
just don't tell my players.
As far as NPCs go, I mean, I've run in. It's really hard to choose because I've just encountered so many. Our Pathfinder game, we had a halfling cart driver for a while when one of our party members decided that we needed a cart to carry the mounds of treasure that I'm pretty sure now exist in Hammer Space. So we had this just like really laid back, like, you know, almost Southern-esque halfling cart driver who just, you know, he just took care of the horses and he took care of the cart, and it was one of those like the goblin. You just sort of it starts as a randomly generated NPC and turns into a fixture of the party. Sadly, I'm pretty sure he drowned when the ship went down.
Aw.
We got attacked by a giant white whale and the ship went down with all hands aboard.
Oof.
Yeah, it was rough. Once as a GM, I created my players were looking for like a potion seller or something, and so I came up with this like little, I forget whether she was a gnome or a halfling, but like the little grandmotherly type with the giant Coke bottle lenses, and I just came out with this like super high pitched, I don't remember honestly the voice that I came up with on the spot, but she's this, you know, oh you want something, I'll be right back, and like disappears beneath the desk and starts throwing things in the air and then pops back up. Is this what you were looking for? No, not that. Okay. And my players came back to this NPC I think once a session for the foreseeable future, because it just ended up being fun to do. It's always the random one-offs.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right?
For me, it's tough. I'll choose one of the ones the community I have likes the best. Even the ones the community likes the best are not usually the ones I like the best. And they'd kill me if I didn't do it. But we got like so many NPCs that come across in our show that the guys, especially, and the fans just love. Like there's Blackjack and Yogurt, who are the two tabaxi thieves that are like, hey, I'm Blackjack and I'm the brains of the operation, and I'm Yogurt and I'm the paws. And then there's Valentine, who's like our cursed curiosity collector. He's a reoccurring shop person who's like, I'm not cursed, I'm 17, I just sound like an old man. And then there's the fan favorite, the pinnacle from the summer camp, Camp Wanawamp. He's a little camper kid. His name's Jelly Belly. and he just sounds like, ojalá pudiera comer el sol. He only speaks in Spanish. And they can't understand a word he says. And if anybody caught what I just said, let me know in chat. I might have pronounced it wrong. but those are some of the ones that people seem to really resonate with, and I love doing them all. So
Okay, Seth has shown me that I need to start workshopping voices more.
get that chair in the shower.
Same.
I prefer one with a cushion. I know it gets weird. It gets soggy and wet. It's gross, but helps
Worth it.
helps the voice.
Oh man.
I do spend a lot of time practicing character voices in my car, and sometimes when it's slow, like no one in the shelves around me, I'll do it really quietly. But you gotta be careful doing that because you don't want customers thinking like, why in the world is this person talking to themselves behind the shelf? And
Yeah, that
I mean-
gets dangerous real quick.
it is a little easier to get away with in kids because there's not usually as many people there. And kids just think it's funny.
Yeah.
They don't judge that you're trying to figure out how a southern accent sounds, even though you grew up in East Tennessee. Can't
I
make
always feel
one
even like when
statement.
doing streams like this or playing the podcast, I always feel so bad for my neighbors. Like I live in an apartment igloo, I guess, and on that side is people. So I record right here, and I just feel like they just hear craziness coming. Only one voice coming. They must think I'm insane.
How many people are over there? I don't know. I just keep hearing different voices. This guy
And,
having a
and there's
party?
only one
It's
side of
COVID.
every conversation. there's no replies.
Oh man. I sometimes worry.
So
I
many questions.
have a detached house, but my neighbors are right through these windows, and it's like, you know, I could bounce a rock off their window, and I sometimes worry about what they hear too.
Yeah, when you're talking about like gnomes carrying dead bodies, they're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!"
Exactly.
Just
Haven't
bury
gotten
him in
a
the
noise complaint
backyard.
It's fine.
I'm just kind of glad my parents are usually downstairs whenever I'm recording, so I don't have to explain things. 'Cause I'm like, there's really weird conversations that happen, and it's fine. Just don't worry about it. They've stopped questioning.
It's fine. It's all fine.
She's just doing Brianna things. That's just how she's doing it. That's awesome.
Oh gosh. Well, we have reached the time of night where we need to start wrapping up, and
Ooh.
so I know it goes by so fast.
I want to keep
It-
goes
going.
by
I
so
say
fast.
that every single week. I'm like, it goes by so quick. But this has been a ton of fun. So what I would like to ask everybody to do is, I'm gonna just go around again and have you remind us of where we can find you on the internet, and we're going to start with Yotts this time and work our way backwards. So, Yotts.
Whoa. All right. First and foremost, I guess you can find me here every Wednesday night, unless stated otherwise, for 50 Shades of Crimson, where I play Oscar. Along with Luna. She's in that show as well. And then a few people in chat who I saw tonight, Katie.
Yeah.
That's probably the best place to track me down. You can always message me on Twitter or Discord if you have any questions. I'm open to hang anytime. Other than that, like I said earlier in the show, stay tuned. My Twitch channel will be getting a much-needed facelift and revival. I'm working on that now, and then we'll be diving into some old DOS games, some super nostalgic stuff that I grew up with, and hopefully making a little go of that. I'm really excited to get, man, I downloaded some. I don't know if you guys ever played like that era of games.
Oh yeah,
But
dude.
They are out there, and they are like, Internet Archive has like 2,500 DOS games.
Oh,
that you
yeah,
can
man.
just download and play.
That's
What are you gonna
awesome.
start with? I gotta know.
Oof. I don't know yet. I haven't chosen.
Fair
I've got
enough,
like
fair enough.
8 to 10 installed right now that I'm kind of bouncing around on, but
Sweet.
that's the idea. Play them live, and then full reviews and like proper breakdowns of the game on YouTube somewhere. But stay tuned. That it's probably like a month out still, honestly. But that's me.
Nice.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming to hang out tonight. I have to admit, though, I'm a little sad that Baby Duty didn't pan out with a baby on stream. So,
Yeah.
I can make that happen. So just loop back around to me.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yay!
Next we'll go to John from Tale of the Mantacore.
Hey, if you'd like to check out some OSR solo play, very dark tone, you can get Tale of the Mantacore really anywhere where you catch podcasts, and you can find me on Twitter at Mantacore Tale and Instagram at Tale of the Mantacore Podcast. That's about it.
I see a baby. All right, we'll come back to
If you aren't listening to Tale of the Mantacore, why not?
Why not?
Seriously,
Why not?
What's wrong with you?
you fix that now.
Why?
Why?
I see a
Baby.
baby Yotts.
Oh,
Baby Yotts.
She's tired.
She's so sleepy.
This might go real bad. I'm gonna have to mute my mic.
So cute.
Wave to everybody.
Oh,
sorry.
oh.
There she goes.
It's nice while it lasted.
so cute.
Aw. I know, she's so cute.
It's just so cute.
Seth, we're gonna head over to you next.
Yeah, sure. If you like what I do, or you like the voices, or if any indication of what I said on this, you're gonna get more of that on my show, and it's gonna be terrible. It's Cheaper by the Dungeon. Cheaper by the Dungeon, all podcast platforms everywhere. You can find it there. We do actual play stuff, and we have the musicals. We did a summer musical just recently, and we're doing another mini musical for Christmas. We always do a Christmas one. So check those out if you want to just hear one-off musical stuff. And then next Saturday and Sunday up on our Twitch channel, Cheaper by the Dungeon. Don't stream there very often, but we're doing a charity stream with all these other podcasts, like From Afar, About of the Seven Dice, all these other people. And we're playing some D&D bowling, some legit rolling of dice, if you know what I mean.
Nice.
So we're going to have a good time and have a little tournament there. So tune in for that.
That's super fun.
So if you need an extra face, actually, I don't know if I'm actually free next week. I take
If
that
we need
back
an extra
now.
spot or somebody bailed, you're in. And you can't say no now.
I work in
You can't
retail.
rip.
I work in retail. My Friday and Saturday are gone, and I record Sunday, so
All right, never mind. It's worth a shot.
I will be there in spirit.
So I have to confess, I actually, just as the stream was about to go live, got invited to participate. So I will also be
There you
there. So
Oh, there we go. There we go. Expect chaos.
I fully expect
Explain-
chaos.
But
It
also
does
some
explain
bowling,
why
some
David said
serious
he
bowling.
couldn't come to my Christmas one shot, but that's fine. You just got him first.
Yeah,
But thank you for having me a part of this stream. Really had fun, and hope I can come back sometime.
absolutely. I'd love to have any of you back again. It would be my pleasure. Kylan, we're gonna duck over to you.
Yeah, you can find the company on Twitter at Tumbledie, or if you like, you can also follow me directly. I am at Kyellan, Kyellan, also on Twitter. That's where I spend most of the social media time these days. The website for the company is tumbledie.com, and we're developing a game, and we produce a weekly podcast called Threat Dice, and I would love it if you drop by and have a listen.
Excellent.
Why not?
Well, thank you so
Why not?
much. Yeah, why not?
What do you have to lose? Absolutely nothing. It's free, so.
Yeah. Find it now wherever you get your podcast.
Exactly.
Excellent. And BriannaJean.
Alright, so for me, it's easiest to find pseudonym social on Twitter because my personal Twitter handle includes my last name, which is a pain in the butt to spell. So find at pseudonym social. I have all my podcasts on there, and then you can find me from there. And keep an eye out January 1st for the first 2 episodes, which is going to be a recap of a 3-year-long game, and the first official episode of Disciples of the Eight will be airing.
Excellent.
I'm very excited. 'cause
Yeah.
It's an epic fantasy tale. Started with us waking up in an alley with no memory of the past 6 months, or who we were in the alley with.
Wow.
Nice.
All right. Well, some closing thoughts before we sign off for the night. I am Gamer Mom Luna, or Luna. You can find us live here on Twitch at shared_experience every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time for some more Tales from the Tavern. You can also find, as Yotts mentioned, you can find our 50 Shades of Crimson Pathfinder 1st Edition stream on Wednesdays at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we've got there may be a rumor floating around that we have, I don't know, this little campaign that involves Star Wars coming up in January. So that's gonna be launching in January. And so keep an eye out for that. We'll have more information coming up throughout the month of December about that. So that'll be exciting. And I think that's all the big announcements right now. 50 Shades of Crimson will be back this week. We took this past week off because of the holiday. And yeah, so let's see. We are going to go drop a raid on another channel. I think we're going to go see...
Yay, raid time.
Raid time!
Great time.
Who's it
It's
gonna
always
be?
the best surprise.
I know. Let's see. We are gonna go pay a visit to Total Party Chill. And
Cool.
yeah, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they're a really fun group of people. Get that going.
Kick open that door and start raiding. Start looting the raid.
Right?
Get your axes ready, boys.
Yeah.
We're
Barbarians
going in.
unite.
What she means is that we're actually here to talk about Raid Shadow Legends.
That's it. That's it.
It's all been one long ad.
Can you imagine?
So we're gonna do that, and we will go over there and share some love. And quick reminder: if you're shopping for any holiday gifts, don't forget to check out our partners, Arcane Spectacle at arcanespectacle.com, where you can use code SHAREDEXP for 10% off your order, or Critical Hit Cookies, who make amazing cookies. Blondies, brownies, they have gluten-free and sugar-free options as well. So feel free to drop them a line, see what they have at criticalhitcookies.com. And we will
And
see you.
now I'm great.
I know. They are amazing. So highly recommend, yes. And so we're gonna go share some love with Total Party Chill. If you are a subscriber, feel free to drop those emotes and share the love and all that good stuff. And we will see you all hopefully we'll see you all on Wednesday. And I hope you all have a great night.
Thanks, Luna. Thanks, everybody.
See you, everyone.